So I think it's interesting the all means all. So all means all unless it's about schools without leaks, right? Because that's not all means all. Or during the pandemic when all means all about IEPs, right? Making sure that they're honored the way they're supposed to be. That's all means all, right? Words have to matter. Words, again, and I think we just had a great example. We had someone come up here and speak about their child and being in Long Meadow and how it's not safe due to their health. And then another parent come over here and say that they believe that RCS has the best interest of the kids in heart. Those two statements can't be true. One has to be true and one can't be. But again, it's this idea that we can't just address the problems, we can't be honest, and sometimes they're uncomfortable, and talk about it. The fact is, all doesn't mean all. Like Aunt Jenny tells us, actions speak louder than words. We've had multiple examples where we haven't lived up to the expectations, but yet we won't acknowledge it because, again, we're afraid someone might be felt uncomfortable. Yes, we actually, during the pandemic, again, there's plenty of data to support, the decisions by RCS raised the opportunity, raised the risk of suicides. That was documented throughout the pandemic. Las Vegas reopened their schools specifically because of the number of suicides they were seeing. So again, these were things that were true. We knew the mental damage that was being done. So to sit here tonight and say that at the core of everything we're doing is about the mental well-being is factually just not true. If that was the case, all of this stuff would have been very transparent. But the fact that it has an underlying political agenda behind it is why it was not transparent. If it was just about what you say it was about, you would have had no problem walking in front of the community, making sure everyone was aware of it, because everyone would have been on board. But when you're hiding underneath it, the political agenda, you knew that would be toxic. That's why there's a genders class that was not brought in front of the public. Neil DeLuca has said to people that the reason it was not brought to the public is because they didn't want pushback on the teachers. Why would you believe there'd be pushback on teachers if you thought the community supported it? These are the reasons why we don't have transparency. So again, as the board starts to change, that has to come back. If the community supports these things, then everyone has to be okay with that. That's the process. And those that aren't have to make personal decisions. Because that's what this is about, personal decisions. We are parents. We allowed this to happen. I allowed it to happen. I'm part of the problem. But that means we have to get engaged and be part of the solution as well. So as we continue to move forward, we cannot continue to gloss over when actions don't meet the words. Actions matter. Tangible actions. Tangible results matter. Everyone has to play their role. And parents, we have to accept responsibility for our children. We are responsible for them. The school is not meant to be their parents. And I say that as someone, again, that is married to a great teacher.
Please wrap up.
The amount of teachers that have the pressure put on them, that have questions because parents don't accept responsibility for their kids' failures, that has to be addressed. And we stand with the principals that tell parents that they need to own that. So for the good principals, the good teachers, the community stands behind you that we have to be responsible for our children. You are not there to parent them. You are there to educate them.
Thank you. Next is...
Can you hear me?
Andrew, yes.
So I'm going to start with, I have two sons that are both at Brooklands. We heard more questions today from our board about where netting is going to go on a baseball field than we heard about specifics of what is going to be done to get our kids back in school. No one is demanding in-person at the expense of something else. There can be an in-person option where we address the roadblocks that are stopping it, which there has been no details given on any of these calls, and not a single board member has asked for those details. And there can be a virtual option for those that feel that is necessary. That allows parents to make the decisions for themselves based on their families. The fact is, we are seeing sports be prioritized. We heard the student talk about a play being prioritized. Those are in-person activities over education. If the goal is education, then every resource should be directed at achieving that. Any other thing that we are working on right now is a waste. honestly, I believe the kids can play sports. They should be able to do that. But if you're going to sit here and tell us we cannot have our kids educated properly, make the actual hard decision and stop them from having any other contact. Stop being hypocrites about this stuff. Be honest, use the data, and make real decisions. And again, Oxford also came out and released an email that made it very clear that the Oakland County is guidance. So the Shaner has not stepped up and made actual decisions. He's used them as a scapegoat to shield himself at the expense of our children. And again, it's highly ironic that he wants to highlight the mental health of our veterans as we're trampling over all our rights that they fought for and ignoring the mental health and rise in suicides among people, especially younger people, because of what's going on. So again, there's a lot more factors at play that our board continues to ignore, not asking any serious questions, and Shaner just glosses over. There should be data present, and we work to accomplish the goal, which is to educate our children. It is shameful what we continue to see. And again, we talked more about baseball nets than we did of specific details of how we get our kids back in school. This plan was put in place to lead to this outcome. There was never the intention to get our kids back into school by Shaner or our board. If there was, we'd have seen a lot more actions, we'd have seen a lot more detail, and we have failed to see that.
Thank you.